Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare going with you on the 22nd of June, 2025. It is 5:52 a.m. Central Time, and I'm joined, as usual, by psychic medium and remote viewer, Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Well, I am doing well, thank you. I keep telling you all I wake up super duper early, so maybe now you'll believe me.
Yeah, this is very early for you.
Well, it is, but I think what we released that video last night. Well, I released it around 7 o'clock last night, but I want the audience to know we actually recorded the Iran Israel probe yesterday at 11 a.m. Central, which is why I labeled it like quantum probabilities because as we were recording it, I'm thinking, this doesn't make any sense to me. Not that I should even try to decipher it with my logical mind as the information is coming in. They're going to kill the supreme leader. What? Like what? And then, of course, as the day went on, and it's a nice summer day, so we were doing stuff with the kids. And then we come back inside and we see, oh, we've just dropped bombs over there. So that's when I immediately, well, it was going to be released anyway, but immediately released that video from yesterday. So a lot of people were like, oh my God, we're starting World War III, and you didn't ask this and you didn't ask that. Well, yeah, because we recorded it at 11 a.m. Central yesterday. So, Mr. Shakespeare, this is an update. What would you like to know?
Okay, so I'm gonna go slightly on a different tack now. I would like you to get a connection with the former U.S. weapons inspector,
Hmm.
Scott Ritter, please.
Oh, okay. I have him.
Okay, all right. And the reason why we want to talk to him is because of a post that he put yesterday on X, and I am going to read the post out. And we're going to see A, whether he did make that post, and then we're going to ask some questions about it. Okay? All right.
Okay.
So, Scott Ritter, in a post yesterday on X, said this, and this is to do with the bombing of Iran. He said, "This is an act of theatre. Trump's big mouth has boxed him into a corner. Iran wouldn't play his game, so he had to bomb Iran to save face. He bombed two empty facilities that had previously been struck by Israel, and he bounced six bombs off the indestructible facility Firdos or Fordor, whatever it's called, claiming destruction, despite the opposite being the case. So that's it. It was a contained strike. It is a nothing burger."
Ooh.
Now, thinking about that, let's ask him, did he write that first and foremost? Did he post that on X?
Did you post that on X yesterday about it being nothing? He absolutely 100% did.
Right. Does he still believe that today, a day later?
Absolutely.
Right. Now then, see, it could all make sense, and we've got to try and unravel as to why. Trump was under enormous pressure to do this by, the elements of the Israeli lobby, neocons, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a guy who's basically said, Trump has said on many occasions he's anti-war, he doesn't like war, and yet he's doing things that, people are perceiving or have, commented on that it could be the precursor to World War III.
Mm.
Okay, which I don't think it will. Anyway, so that's just my personal thoughts and opinions. So let's find out from the Iranian defense minister.
Okay.
Pictures are on your screen now.
Right.
Can we get a connection with him, please?
Yes. What is his name?
Good point. I don't know. Hang on. Why don't they say his
I'm
name
like
on?
every picture there. There's no
I know,
name.
but not one of them has said his name.
He hasn't slept all night, I can tell you that.
Well, it does not surprise me. Hold on, let's have a look at this one. What is his name? All right, hold on. Amir Hatami. Amir
Ah,
or Amir Hatami.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I did not know that. That's weird that you don't normally get that many pictures and images, and not one of them mentions the name of the person that's related to the image. But anyway, all right. So Amir Hatami. So he's the well, let's find out if he is currently still the Iranian defense minister. Let's ask him that.
At this present moment, the Iranian, yes, he is, and he is in a lot of trouble.
Right.
He now has to come up with a retaliation tactic, is what I'm getting, that is so strategic that doesn't upset people, but it does upset people, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Yep.
And they're in the middle of planning it out. Now,
Okay. But then that. Sorry.
sorry, let me give this to you. Some of the people at the table want to just go ahead and start dropping massive bombs and going into World War III.
Absolutely.
He
Yep.
doesn't want to do this. His own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. He doesn't think that it's necessary.
Right. Okay, well, so he has the same problem that Trump does in America. Trump is being pulled and pushed by different factions to do that. According to Scott Ritter, what he's done is a face-saving exercise. So he's bombed a couple of places that have already been bombed, and the main nuclear enrichment they haven't touched. I mean, they've other reports that I've read on Telegram channels is they've just destroyed, bits on the surface which can be easily repaired. But it's face saving. Trump can say, look, I've done it. And that will appease the neocons and things like that. So let's ask the defense minister, okay,
Hmm.
did did the US bombs totally damage
Well,
the
the three
nuclear.
sites that.
Yeah, so no, did it in the enrichment plant? I think it's called Fodor or Ferdos or something like that. I can't remember exactly what
Mhm.
it's called, but the one that's buried deep in the mountain, did it destroy that facility?
Did the bombs completely destroy the one facility that's deep in the mountain? Did the it was already destroyed by the Israelis.
Oh, okay.
It was already destroyed.
So
How was it? Let me ask this question. Sorry. How was it already destroyed? It was shut down.
right,
How? Why was it shut down? It shut down a while ago and they moved operations because they got wind of it being a known facility.
so have the
See,
Americans bombed a dud target then?
mm, okay, hold that question. Okay, this is what I'm getting from this Iranian defense minister. You know, they have things that they disclose to other governments, but
Yeah,
it's all a ruse. Okay. Oh yeah, well, we're fully transparent, or we're this, we're that. Yet the reality is very different. They're disclosing benign facilities, not the actual nuclear warhead facilities that are so deep underground and nobody really knows about them. So the ones that the world knows about, they're benign.
right.
Even
Okay.
this Scott Ritter doesn't know where these other nuclear facilities are. Now, I will tell you that Not all of them are in Iran. Some of them are in Yemen.
Right. Okay, but I mean, Scott Ritter's basic premise from his X post yesterday is that Trump had got himself boxed into a corner. He had to bomb something in Iran, and essentially he has bombed, already depleted targets, dud targets. It's a bit like in the Second World War when England, who are the masters of absolute deception, came up with their fake tank regiments and things like that, which were all blow up inflatable tanks and things like that. Anybody flying over them would think that there's a big armada of tanks there. They're not. They're all blow up. They're not real because they're a lot cheaper to make. This seems like a sort of a similar thing. Has Iran done that? I mean, you could imagine that they would do that. I mean, which country will, go out and put on X, exactly where all their top secret bases is of that's any country, not just Iran. I can't imagine that America, Russia, France, Germany, any of those countries do that. Why would you do that? Why would you make, I mean, that's for the other side to try and discover, isn't it? It's not for, nobody puts them out and takes out front page adverts in the Washington Post saying here is exactly where we're doing all the things that we're doing. I mean, it just wouldn't happen. So there must be an element, in my opinion, of what Scott Ritter has said. So let's ask, who should we ask now?
Well, let's
Uh,
ask Scott Ritter.
yeah, okay, let's ask Scott Ritter. Okay, where's he gone? Where's Scott Ritter got to?
Do you think that Trump's hand was forced at the bomb? Yeah, because he wasn't supposed to look like a fool. He's trying. So this is Scott Ritter's personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. In his opinion, he said Trump did it so he wouldn't look weak, he wouldn't embarrass us, he wouldn't look like a fool and not a tough leader.
Hmm.
Iran does have warheads, right? It does. I'm getting
What?
that so
Nuclear
strongly.
warheads or just conventional? Because Iran has many, many conventional warheads. We know that.
Well, let's ask the defense minister. Minister, do you have nuclear warheads? Oh, yeah, they have a stockpile of nuclear warheads. And do you have them all in Iran? About 50% of these warheads are in Iran, and the others are, some are held by terrorist groups. They are paid to hold in other countries. Do you have them on ships or vessels? Some, yes. So, are these three targets that were hit by the US, were they pretty much benign targets? Overall, yeah.
Right.
Overall, they were benign targets. There's nothing really, according to the Iranian defense minister, his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, there's nothing really there. Okay, yeah,
Right.
that's going to cost them a lot of money. Yes. It's going to, facilities have been destroyed. Yes. That's going to cost a lot of money to rebuild. Billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars. But have we actually stopped the threat? No.
Right. So Scott Ritter basically is correct in his post of what he's put in. It was Trump had to do something, um, because to not do it, as Ritter said, he would look weak. Even though I can't imagine that his MAGA base in America are particularly, um, are on board with what he's done. However, he's bombed, he's bombed, like you say, benign targets. So that's probably why. I mean, originally, that's why I said earlier on, I don't believe this will lead to World War III at all.
Okay, but does Trump know that he's bombed benign targets? Does he actually know that? Or
That is a very good question. And
yeah, or are they just doing what they can, the best they can now, right?
I mean,
Maybe they just don't know.
if he knew this is just all, I mean, actually, whether he knew or whether he didn't, it's actually even cleverer. It's more clever that if he did know, but even if he didn't, it's still all theatre.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
It,
let's bring Trump in and let's ask.
okay.
Okay. Do you know
Did you know?
how much do you know? Let's ask him this question. How much do you know about those targets in Iran? How much do you know about them? That's the information that they have. Do you believe that there's more facilities according to your intelligence analysts, your briefings? Do you believe that there's more facilities? They're searching for them, but they actually, okay, his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, they can't find them.
Right. Okay.
And now everyone knows why Liz Cross will never show her face. Look at this type of information that I'm putting out. And I know for a fact that the alphabet agencies do listen to my videos because they've emailed me before. So, um, not that they don't know who I am and where I am, but it's just this type of information is like top secret information, and I'm putting it out on YouTube for public consumption. Okay, so they don't actually know where the war. Okay, let's ask him this. Do you believe Iran has access to a stockpile of nuclear warheads? He says if they do, we don't know where they are. So they actually don't know where they are.
Right. But I mean, he also wouldn't know where the stockpile of Russia's nuclear warheads are. He
Do
might know
you?
some, but he wouldn't know, and everybody knows Russia's got the largest amounts of nuclear weapons. The whole point of nuclear weapons, by the way, is so that you don't use them. Not, they're never supposed to be used. They're supposed to be never used.
So let's ask this question. Do you know where Russia's stockpile of nuclear? No, they have no idea.
Right, so it's no different.
Okay.
It's no different. And if we asked Russia's defense people, they wouldn't know where all the Americans are. And as I said before, you are not going to declare where all of your assets are, military assets in any country. You're just not going to do that, are you? It
Mm.
would be crazy. So, you know, anything you almost hear in the public domain about where things are and what things happen, you have to almost dismiss because I think there's a lot of theatre going on at the moment. They're trying to transition out of the old into the new, and the new doesn't really involve war. So there's a lot of people that are trying to hold on to old by starting and creating and fomenting wars. But I think that,
What is so interesting to me is when we did the video, I don't know, it was a few months ago now, about all those drones flying over New Jersey, New York, and those areas. I kept getting that it was the Iranians, right? I kept getting it. I probed it, I don't know how many different ways, how many different times. It's the Iranians. They're spraying, they're surveilling, they are looking for things. They're
right.
taking.
But if it was the
Hmm?
Iranians, they didn't launch them from Iran. I don't think a drone can fly that far to New York.
No, no, they weren't launched from Iran. They were launched from underwater, and they were launched from boats.
Right. Okay. All right.
So
Well,
it's coming together, right? The thing is, we don't know all pieces of the puzzle, but as we have continued these probes, it's starting to come together. Why are they spying on our population? What is it that they're worried about, right? So let's ask the defense minister, why are the drones still there? Yes, they are. The drones are still there. It's just that nobody's really reporting it anymore. They're not there in the numbers that they were because it was getting too much attention. Why were you using drones over the USA? It was an intimidation tactic. Now,
Sorry?
this,
Well, Iran is trying to intimidate the US with some drones. Is that what
well,
he's saying?
that's what they're saying. It
Okay.
may be ridiculous, but that's the answer I got.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, that's laughable.
Well, but now this supreme leader is saying he's going down in flames, right? He is going to go down as a martyr. And so let's ask him, what are your plans now? Oh, he's going to retaliate big time.
Yeah, but is the final decision with him, or is it with the defense minister or the prime minister? I mean, he's the supreme leader, but I think, as I understand it, that's coming from a sort of a cleric religious side. I don't know. I mean, we know in America, for example, in theory, and probably de facto, Trump is the president and therefore the commander in chief, and then therefore has the ultimate sign off. But of course, we also know that in his last presidency, he was issuing orders and things didn't get done. So, I don't know. I mean, is the Ayatollah there? Is he the ultimate sign off on whether anything gets done or doesn't get done, or if they were to retaliate, how, where, why, and when? Is that his? Even if he doesn't, formulate the plan himself, maybe his, generals or his military staff do that, and that would make sense. But is he the ultimate sign off on it?
Are you the ultimate sign off on any plans? They come from below him, suggestions. Do you ultimately, like, are you the one that makes the decision? Ultimately, yes, he does make the decision. I mean, the ideas are not his,
No.
the ideas are put forth to him.
Yes.
And the reasons for those ideas are also put forth to him, like think tanks, right? Military strategists, analysts, think tanks. What will be the outcome if we do this? What is going to be the outcome if we do that? Who's going to be affected? But ultimately, so let's just double check. Ultimately, are you the one that gives the green light? Yes, he does. He has to give the final say so. Now,
Right.
what is alarming, and some people that work for the government have sent me questions, because what they're worried about is the fact that will there be other consequences for other countries in the region like Iran, Syria, KSA, UAE? And at the moment, I'm getting a no on that. This is from the Ayatollah himself. This is personal between Israel and the USA. Are you involving the UK in this? If the UK, he just said to me, wants to get involved in this, then we'll obliterate them too. His exact
Right.
words.
Can we ask Trump what how he's had a fallout with Tulsi Gabbard, and Tulsi Gabbard is his director of national intelligence, and I think Gabbard was against him bombing. Um,
Can you put her on the screen, please?
yeah, yeah. So,
So while you are doing that, some other questions that have been put forward is, does Iran, I'm asking the Ayatollah, do you have sleeper cells, terrorist cells in the US? Not at the moment, but they are going to actively deploy.
well, we know Israel had sleeper cells in Iran because that's how the original attack was done by Iran. They activated their sleeper cells there. So, um, anyway, here's Gabbard. Can you
Okay,
see her?
thank you.
So she's the director of national intelligence. She is the one that's responsible. So under Biden, Biden didn't get a lot of intelligence given to him. I think a lot of it was, Blinken and whatever his name was. I think they held it back. Um, I don't know why they didn't give it to Biden. Well, we can speculate why they didn't give it to Biden, but she is the job. It's her job to, to correlate all of the intelligence agencies and then, provide quality intelligence to the president. And so I don't know how she's doing in her job. I think she's finding some of it quite difficult because there's a lot of departments, if you like, that don't really want to do what she's supposed to be doing. But anyway, he's fallen out with her a bit. Trump has fallen out with her a bit. So he basically said she was wrong. Um,
Ooh,
so
okay.
how does he view let's ask Trump, how does he view Tulsi Gabbard today, right now?
How do you view Tulsi Gabbard today? Personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. She's useless. She
Um,
doesn't have a backbone to stand up to the people that she needs to. She's
right,
too much of a people pleaser, is according to his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And you can't be a people pleaser in this position. And he believes now that a general would be a better representative in this position. Now, the
right,
other thing that I got as you were talking is that the reason they keep this very, very close alliance with Israel is because Israel is doing all of the intelligence gathering for that region.
right.
The
Okay.
Americans can't really gather intelligence like the Israelis can, which is why they have this close bond, is what I'm getting. Like, this is why they're supporting Netanyahu. I mean, there's lots of other reasons as well, but they need the Israeli intelligence to know exactly what's going on. So let's ask Trump, is this why you're supporting Israel? Well, Trump is now coming back to me in sort of like a religious tone, which is very surprising. He said to me, like, we're brothers in God. Um, it is our duty, his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, to stand with Israel and the Jewish people, is what he just said to me. Do you rely upon them for intelligence? They are the intelligence arm of the United States. That's what he just said.
Right. But I mean, obviously, he's had big funding from the Israel lobby and everything, to support him being a presidency. They were one of the biggest fund providers for him. So, yeah, okay. So going back to Tulsi Gabbard, does she have a future in his presidential circle?
Circus.
Sorry. Oops.
Circus, Freudian slip.
Yeah, that was a Freudian slip, wasn't it? Or is she going to be replaced?
At the moment, are you keeping Tulsi Gabbard? No, he is looking to get rid of her.
Right. Okay.
Does she have a future there? She's going to have to come up with something very spectacular, or she's out of there.
Is he considering the position of any other of his appointees from last year? Pam Bondi, for example, as the Attorney General.
Are you
Cash, what's the guy, the head of the FBI, Cash Patel. I
Cash
mean, are any
Patel?
of these under consideration?
Any of the other posts under consideration? He will, okay, what is coming through very clear to me is he will hire and fire at the drop of a hat. You
Right.
know, if you're not up to the job, you've got to go. Are you
Right.
looking at replacing Cash Patel? No, not at the moment.
Okay. And what about Pam Bondi?
What about Pam Bondi? Yes, she is definitely under consideration.
All right. Um, let's ask this guy here, Michael Herzog.
Okay.
So he's an ex-military officer, and he was the Israeli ambassador to the United States until January this year. Okay.
Okay. Michael
Uh,
Herzog, what would you like to know?
why did he step down as being the ambassador, or was he stood down?
What did you say? Step down being the. No, he was asked to resign.
Okay, why was he asked to resign?
Why were you asked to resign? They just believed he'd been there too long. That he wasn't doing the job effectively. This guy is just maintaining status quo, okay? He's not a radical.
Right. So, what does he think about the attack on Iran by Israel the other day? I mean, if he's so he's been in America for quite a long time. He must be if if he's been the Israeli ambassador to the United States, he would be based in the United States. So, what does he think about his country attacking Iran for whatever reason? I mean, what does he think about it?
What do you think about Israel attacking Iran? It's a necessary, his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. It's a necessary step towards freedom, freedom of the Jewish people.
Right. Okay. Hey. Right. Is he back in Israel now, or is he still in America?
Are you back in Israel at the moment? No, he's in the US.
Right. Okay. Let's
I
go back
don't
and
feel he wants to go back to Israel at the moment.
no, there's quite a lot of people that don't want to be there. They're losing a lot of their population, and I don't mean through missile attacks, but people who are trying to get out of Israel. So,
Well, and a lot of, let's ask this question. Are a lot of Israeli residents, citizens, do they have a large percentage have dual passports. So
yeah.
are you aware that citizens are relocating outside? Yes, they are. They have lives somewhere else, a lot of them, and they are reestablishing those lives outside of Israel, and they may never return.
Hmm. Okay. Let's ask Scott Ritter a couple of more questions, but before we do that, I want you to move him out to the 22nd of October, 2025, please.
Oh, okay. So October 22nd, 2025, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What would you like to know?
What is his current assessment of A, Iran, B, Israel, C, United States?
Okay. So the first thing that came through is he is doing private consulting for the government.
Which
They
government?
actually re-engage his services
Right.
to try to get more information of where weapons could potentially be held. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
But when you say the government, you mean the US government, yeah?
The US. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, he was a former weapons inspector. He went all over the Middle East. There's quite a lot of things that he's seen that most people would never get to see. As a weapons inspector, he had access to quite a lot. So, he does have knowledge of the region. Right. So, yeah, again, the question, what is his current view of the situation in A, Iran, B, Israel, C, United States?
What is your current view of the situation of Iran? What is your current view? It's going through a massive transition period, and he seems very hopeful. with that? And what about your current view of Israel? His personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions are Israel's cleaning house. They're mopping up the mess that has been made in the Middle East. They're a very useful tool. And what about the United States? What is your current opinion? And that the US is doing what they had to do to support Israel.
And one final question, what is his view of how Russia is doing?
What is your view of how Russia is doing? Russia, he says, has their finger in too many pies at this point. They've got their finger in the Chinese pie, they've got their finger in the Middle Eastern pie, the American pie, their war. They're trying to figure out how they're going to rebuild Ukraine. Has the war stopped over there? No, no, it has not.
So is it a case of bye bye Miss American Pie?
Is it the case of Bye Bye American Pie? Oh my God. Is it the case of Bye Bye American Pie?
Miss
I mean,
American.
everything is hanging on for this regime change, but
Right.
it's up to Iran to choose effective leaders, to
Yeah.
make sure that they follow a democratic system, to make sure that they have law and order, they keep according to Ritter's personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, they keep the subgroups in check, that they
Yeah.
have a strong military leader. In your personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, do they have this at the moment? No, they do not. No, they don't.
Right.
Now, as you were
I mean,
asking the
they are
question,
going. I mean, as we said on the as we said from the probe yesterday, they are going through a change, and it probably isn't going to be completely finished by October of this year.
hmm. Now, as you were saying about Russia, what came through as you were asking those questions is that this war, according to Putin, let's ask, is the war going to, I mean, Putin wants Russian government in certain parts of Ukraine that are complying with the Russian, with the Kremlin. And
Yeah.
once he feels confident that that is actually going on and he trusts the leadership, and he's sort of banking on the psychological toll of war as well. What is coming through as I connect with Putin is he wants them to be so exhausted with the war that they have no choice but to comply.
Yeah, well, that's exactly Russians' military strategy. They're fighting a war of attrition. I mean, they are not doing what America has done in Iraq and places like that. The shock and awe treatment, bomb the life out of every single thing, and then send in some ground troops. No, Putin's war that they're doing is a war, definitely a war of attrition, slowly, slowly, slowly. It doesn't really matter to the Russians how long they take to achieve this, but they want. So what he wants is no different to what the West want with Iran. He wants neighbors that are not going to attack him or do anything or be, belligerent. And, there's a certain element in Ukraine that's not, definitely not compatible with that. So it does
Wow.
not surprise me that the war is still going on in October. Um,
Okay, so let's ask Putin. What do you think about the US bombing those three targets? He's laughing at me. As I ask this question, he's in hysterics. I'm like, why are you in hysterics? What is so funny? He's like, this is all so ridiculous. This isn't a war. They don't know what a war actually means. So why do you think this is not a war? Because he says you don't bomb somewhere and say, okay, we finished the job, we're done. You have to wait for the counterattacks. He thinks that Trump, personally, he believes that Trump is has no war experience whatsoever. And he believes he's very vulnerable and very lacking in this understanding. He has no military experience. So when you bomb somewhere and you say, okay, that's it, we're done, who's done? Is what Putin is saying to me. Now you wait for the retaliatory move, the retaliation. And you can't just make bold statements of, okay, we've done this and now we're out of there and this is over, this is finished. Putin is saying this is far from being over. Now you have to wait and see. He thinks Trump is making a lot of mistakes. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, Trump and Putin, they're in each other's pockets. Every single time I have probed both of them, that is not the case. They respect one another
Yes,
for the
I
most
agree.
part, but they do not actually like one another.
No, well, that's okay. But they respect each other. Putin knows that Trump's a good businessman, and you know, and Trump knows that there's been no. Who's the leader with the most longevity in the I mean, it's been Putin. He's been the leader for like 20, 30 years or what, 30, 25 years or whatever it is. So, he's got a huge amount of experience. But what Putin is saying there really is he's pretty much confirming it's theater.
Yeah, let's ask
What we
Putin.
started off with, which is what, I said to you before we even switched the microphones on and recording. This is theater.
Let's ask Putin, do you believe this is all theatrical? 100%. He just put his hand on his heart and he's still laughing. And he
There you
goes,
go.
this is hilarious. And I'm saying, do you believe this is theatrical? Yes, this is just a showpiece by the Iranians and by the USA. Not
Right.
so much Israel. Israel mean business. What do you think is going to be the next move from the Iranians? He believes they're going to launch a counterattack. Do you believe they're going to launch a counterattack on American soil? Yes, he believes his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions that they will launch a counterattack on military bases in the region. And there are a lot of troops there, he says. They're prime targets. There's not a lot of security there. They're easy to get at. And he said if he was the Iranians, that is exactly the next move that he would make. So I'm going to ask Putin, would you say that we are going to see an attack on US soil over here, as in, innocent civilians? No, it has not come to that as of yet. But he says if it continues this tit for tat thing, it could very well end up like that. But we're not there yet. Do you believe that they will activate sleeper cells, terrorist groups on American turf over here to slaughter innocent civilians? Yes, but they will make it look as if they're lone terrorists. That's how they set them up. He says they set them up that it looks like some deranged, lunatic loner that is attacking people. So there's no direct affiliation with Iran to cause a massive retaliation. Like you can't really prove that they're working for the Iranian government. But then weren't there some people that tried to kill Trump that were Iranian, and that all went very quiet.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's ask the
Nowadays it's all optics and theater, it's compared to days of old, this is just the optics and the theater of this are almost more important than what actually happens.
Mm.
So, anyway,
Let's ask Trump, are you prepared to go into World War III? No. Let's ask Netanyahu, are you prepared to go into war? He's like, Liz, we're already in it. Okay, let's ask the Ayatollah, are you prepared to go into World War III? Absolutely 100%. He is prepared to launch nuclear weapons at Israel.
well, Okay. I don't think it's going to happen.
Let's ask Putin, are you in talks with the Iranian leader, supreme leader? Yes, they're friends. They get along very well. They understand one another. They see the West as a common enemy. They understand what they're up against, is what he's saying. Putin is saying. Do you believe that the supreme leader is approachable, very approachable? Do you believe Netanyahu is approachable? Absolutely not. Do you believe, are you going to, I'm asking Putin, are you going to intervene and ask the supreme leader to back down in any way? I've already told him he'd be making a mistake. Why do you say that? Because Putin says they're more hated by the world than they are liked. So the world will turn against them and it could economically destroy them. He says that the Iranians have no economic backup plan as far as like dealing with sanctions, where Putin is saying we expect the sanctions. That's always the first move that everyone makes, he says. So we were prepared for the sanctions. The Iranians are not prepared for that.
Okay.
Wow, I don't know what else to ask. I think this is such a fast moving situation.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up there, and then let's see what happens over the next few days, and then maybe do a part 3 or something.
Yeah, part 4, 5, 6,
Part
7, 8,
4,
9,
5, 6, 7.
10. Yeah, we'll be like the daily psychic broadcast, and we're not, I wouldn't say that your knowledge base is not great because it is Mr. Shakespeare, but we're not war correspondents, right? We're literally just sort of picking this up as we go along. And I think sometimes people are very hypercritical about the background knowledge and the questions that we ask. But you have to remember, when you're listening to CNN, Fox News, BBC, Sky, you've got teams and teams and teams and teams and more teams of professional researchers that are working in the background to come up with the information. That's not what we're doing here. It's literally just me and Mr. Shakespeare. And I think personally, we do a pretty good job. We don't have teams and teams and teams of researchers, right? This is not a multi-billion-dollar company with hundreds and maybe even thousands of employees. This is, psychic information, and it should be construed as entertainment purposes only, right? So, I think people are so used to watching these mass media outlets, and then they come to us and they look at me and you and the other guys in the same way. And I mean, we just don't have that amount of manpower behind us. But what I will say is that we always, first of all, we always wake up early, or I certainly do, and we do the absolute best that we can. And it shows. I do believe that it shows. So there you go, Mr. Shakespeare. We thank you so much again for putting this together for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's been
All right,
been
we'll
good.
stop this one here.